There are moments in life where you find yourself standing at the edge of something, and it's like the universe is daring you to take that next step. It feels like everything in you is screaming to stay safe, stay comfortable, but deep down, you know that the only way you're ever going to reach the next level is if you push beyond what you think you're capable of. You've got to be willing to step into the unknown. You know, there's a truth that we all have to face sooner or later. The limits you think you have, they're not real. They're just things you've allowed yourself to believe. It's all about perception. When you tell yourself you can't do something, what you're really doing is holding yourself back. You're building this invisible wall around yourself, and you're the one that put it there. But guess what? You've got the power to break that wall down. It's all in your mind. And once you realize that, the game changes. Listen, there's no such thing as a smooth ride to success. Every single person who's ever accomplished something great has faced struggle, faced obstacles, and at times they were ready to quit. But it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. When you face challenges, you've got two choices. You can fold, you can let the fear, the doubt, the pressure make you shrink, or you can push through it, because the moment you push beyond your limits, that's when the magic happens. Let me tell you, the greatest growth happens outside your comfort zone. That's where the fire is. That's where you find out what you're really made of. Your body, your mind, they'll tell you to stop when things get tough. They'll tell you it's easier to stay where it's safe, to stay where you're familiar. But let me tell you, that's exactly where you're going to stay stuck. The moment you say, no, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to push, even though it hurts, even though it feels impossible, that's when the world starts to open up to you. Look, we all have fears, we all have doubts. But the question is, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to let them define you, or are you going to use them to fuel your fire? Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. It's telling you you're about to step into something that's going to change your life. So instead of running from it, lean into it. You've got more in you than you know. I'm talking about untapped potential, the stuff you don't even realize you're capable of yet. But in order to reach it, you've got to be willing to push past the voices that tell you to stop, to quit, to give in. You've got to be willing to stand up every single time you're knocked down and keep moving forward, no matter how tough it gets. Your limits don't define you, you do. And the moment you realize that is the moment everything changes. So go out there, push past those limits, and let the world see exactly what you're made of. Keep going, keep pushing, and you will break through. The limits you think you have are not as solid as you believe. In fact, most of the limits you feel are simply self-imposed boundaries that stem from fear, doubt, and the comfort of familiarity. We all experience those moments when we hit a wall, when it feels like we've reached our capacity, that we can't push any further, that we've given all we have to give. But here's the truth. Those walls aren't real, and those limits don't exist beyond what you've convinced yourself they are. They are products of your mind, of your past experiences, and of the narratives you've constructed over time. The moment you start to break free from these mental cages is when you begin to realize just how much more you're capable of. Imagine a person standing at the edge of something big, a challenge, a new opportunity, a risk, and they start to feel the weight of doubt creeping in. This is too much for me, they might think. I've never done anything like this before. But what they don't realize in that moment is that their success isn't going to come from doing what they've already done before. It's going to come from stepping into that unknown space, that discomfort. The edge is where growth happens. It's where limits disappear. It's where you find out that what you thought was a boundary is simply a marker that was set by your mind. And once you push past it, you unlock a whole new level of possibility. What often holds people back isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of belief in their own potential. You might look at someone else and think they can do it because they're special, because they're talented, because they've got something I don't. But the truth is, they've just been willing to challenge their limits more than you have. They've been willing to look fear in the face and keep moving forward. They've seen that their so-called limits were just starting points for growth. They've learned that every boundary is just a test to see how bad you really want to break through it. Let's talk about the mental barrier for a second. The self-doubt, the I can't do this mentality, we all experience it, and it can be paralyzing. But when you start questioning those thoughts, when you push back against the instinct to retreat, you begin to see something incredible. You see that every time you think you can't go any further, you can. You just need to push beyond that initial discomfort. It's like running a race. Your body tells you to stop, but the truth is, your body is capable of so much more. It's your mind that's limiting you. The key to pushing beyond your limits is understanding that your capacity for growth is limitless. You're not born with a set amount of strength or intelligence, and you don't hit a point in life where you've learned all there is to learn. You grow, you adapt, you evolve, and that process never truly stops unless you let it. Consider an athlete who's training for a competition. At first, lifting a certain weight might seem impossible, but as they continue to push their body over time, that weight becomes just another part of their routine. Their body adapts, it strengthens, and their mind learns that what once felt like a monumental task is now just another step in the journey. That's how it works in every area of life. What seems insurmountable today can become second nature tomorrow, as long as you are willing to keep challenging the belief that you can't do it. This is where true growth happens, when you stop seeing your limits as walls and start seeing them as doors. Every time you face something that seems out of reach, that's just another opportunity to break through. Your growth happens when you challenge yourself to reach higher, to push harder, to go further than you ever have before. It's not about being perfect or reaching some idealized version of yourself. It's about pushing beyond what you thought you could do and discovering what lies just outside of that comfort zone. What's amazing is that when you push beyond those limits, when you do the thing you thought you couldn't do, the reward is more than just a sense of accomplishment. It's a new belief in yourself, a stronger mindset, and a new version of you that's more capable, more resilient, and more powerful than you ever realized. The person you are becoming is someone who knows that there are no limits, only opportunities to keep growing. At the end of the day, pushing beyond your limits isn't just about achieving something big. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you think. Every time you push past a limit, no matter how small or big the challenge, you're expanding your potential. You're proving to yourself that the boundaries you've placed on your life are nothing but illusions. And when you're ready to break them down, you realize there's no limit to what you can achieve. Growth doesn't happen in the places where you feel comfortable. It happens in the spaces that make you uneasy, that stretch you beyond what you think you can handle. We all have a comfort zone, and it feels good to stay there because it's safe. It's familiar, it's predictable. But here's the catch. Staying in your comfort zone will never lead you to the greatness you're capable of. The only way to truly grow, to evolve into the person you're meant to be, It's to step outside of that comfort zone and challenge yourself. That's where the real magic begins. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you were truly challenged? When was the last time you did something that made you feel nervous, scared, or uncertain? The reason it's so important to face those moments head on is because that's where you build your strength, your resilience, and your character. When you're constantly in your comfort zone, you're just repeating the same cycle over and over. You're not pushing yourself to be better, to do more, or to discover what you're really capable of. But when you step into the unknown, when you make the conscious decision to do something that scares you, that's when growth happens. Now, I'm not saying you have to take massive leaps all at once. Growth can be incremental. It's not about diving into the deep end without knowing how to swim. It's about taking small steps toward discomfort one at a time. It's about challenging yourself every day, even if it's just a little bit more than yesterday. Maybe it's trying something new at work, taking on a project you would have otherwise avoided, or speaking up when you usually stay quiet. Every time you push a little further, you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. And every time you do that, you're expanding your potential. Let's break it down a bit more. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It doesn't happen when everything is going smoothly. It happens when things get tough, when you hit roadblocks, when you feel like giving up. When you're faced with those moments, it's easy to retreat into what feels safe, but that's where most people miss out on the opportunity to grow. Instead of running away from difficulty, you need to lean into it. The more you push yourself through the discomfort, the stronger you become. As she sat watching the world go by, something caught her eye. It wasn't so much its color or shape, but the way it was moving. She squinted to see if she could better understand what it was and where it was going, but it didn't help. As she continued to stare into the distance, she didn't understand. Stana, think about an athlete training for a big event. They don't get stronger by doing the easy things. They don't get better by sticking to what they already know. They get better by challenging their limits, by pushing through the exhaustion, by doing things they never thought they could do. They embrace the discomfort of training because they know that on the other side of that discomfort is improvement, is success. The same principle applies to life. You won't grow if you only do what's easy. You have to embrace the challenges, the moments of uncertainty, because that's when you'll find out just how strong you really are. Another important aspect of growth is the ability to fail. And failure is something that people often try to avoid at all costs. But failure isn't the end of the road. It's part of the process. Every time you fail, you learn, you grow, you get better. And failure doesn't happen outside your comfort zone. It happens when you're pushing yourself, when you're stepping into new territories that you've never explored before. It's in those moments of failure that you gain the wisdom, the resilience, and the lessons that will take you to the next level. What's also important to realize is that when you start to push outside of your comfort zone, it's not going to feel natural at first. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to question whether it's worth it. You're going to doubt yourself. But here's the secret. The discomfort is actually a sign of progress. When you feel like you're struggling, when it feels hard, you're on the verge of growth. The brain likes comfort. It wants to keep you safe, keep you doing what you already know. But true growth requires you to break through those barriers, to fight the urge to stay where it's easy. The discomfort is a sign that you're on the right track, that you're moving forward. Every single successful person you admire has spent a significant amount of time outside of their comfort zone. They've put themselves in situations that made them uncomfortable, uncertain, and vulnerable. But that's where they grew. That's where they found out what they were made of. Success isn't about staying in a bubble of comfort. It's about pushing yourself, stretching your limits, and constantly testing your boundaries. The more you do that, the more you grow. So let's stop pretending that growth is easy. Let's stop expecting it to come without effort. The reality is growth is hard, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, but that's what makes it so powerful. When you embrace that discomfort, when you push through it instead of running from it, that's when you truly start to unlock your full potential. You'll be amazed at what you're capable of once you step outside of that comfort zone, once you get used to the discomfort, and once you start seeing challenges as opportunities for growth. That's the path to success. And that's where the real transformation happens. Fear is often seen as something negative, something to avoid at all costs. It's the feeling that keeps you from taking risks, from stepping into the unknown, from pushing yourself beyond the boundaries of what's comfortable. But here's the reality: fear is not your enemy. It's actually one of your most powerful allies if you choose to look at it that way. Fear is a signal, a warning light that you're about to step into something new, something that could change your life. It's telling you that you're about to grow, that you're about to challenge your limits in ways that will push you to become the best version of yourself. Fear is not the wall, it's the key to breaking through it. Think about the last time you faced something that scared you. Maybe it was a big decision, a presentation, or a challenge that seemed so daunting you weren't sure you could handle it. Now remember how it felt. You felt the fear rising up, telling you to pull back, to play it safe, to back off from the situation. But here's the question: did you let that fear control you? Did you listen to that inner voice that told you to quit before you even tried? Or did you choose to push through it, to face the fear head on and see what was on the other side? The truth is, fear is a natural part of growth. Every time you face something that scares you, it's an opportunity to level up. Fear is the universe's way of testing you. It's asking you, how badly do you want this? Are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone? Are you willing to embrace the unknown and see what happens? The most successful people in the world have faced their fears countless times. They've made fear their friend, their motivator, and their guide. They didn't allow fear to stop them from pursuing their dreams. Instead, they used it to fuel their actions, to push them to go further, to do things they never thought possible. The key is to understand that fear is not an obstacle, it's a challenge. Fear is telling you that you're about to do is significant, that it matters, that it will change you. If fear didn't exist, you'd have no idea you were pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone. Fear means you're growing, you're evolving, and you're testing yourself in ways that will make you stronger. The moment you recognize that fear is actually a sign that you're doing something worthwhile, you start to use it to your advantage. Let's think about fear in a different way. Imagine fear as a force of energy. It's powerful, it's strong, and it's something that can either paralyze you or propel you forward. When you feel fear, it's easy to think that you should back down, that it's an indication that you're not ready or that you're about to fail. But instead of letting fear control you, use it as a powerful motivator. Use it to fuel your drive, to get you out of your head and into action. When you feel the fear, acknowledge it, but don't let it dictate your next move. Instead, take a deep breath, embrace the fear, and move forward anyway. Every time you face fear and continue to push through it, you grow stronger. It's like building muscle in the gym. The first few times you try something new, it's uncomfortable, even painful. But over time, you get stronger, your confidence grows, and the fear starts to lose its grip on you. The more you face it, the less power it has over you. Fear becomes less about avoiding something that might happen and more about stepping into something you can control, your response to it. But here's the thing, fear doesn't just go away. It doesn't disappear once you've faced it a few times. Fear is a constant companion on the road to success. It shows up when you're about to make a big move, when you're about to take a risk, when you're about to do something that matters. And that's okay. The most successful people aren't those who don't feel fear. They're the ones who know how to use fear to their advantage. They've learned to make fear a part of their journey, not a reason to stop. What happens when you embrace fear instead of running from it is that you begin to build resilience. You start to see challenges as opportunities. And the fear that once seemed so overwhelming becomes something you can manage. You realize that fear doesn't control you unless you let it. When you make the choice to face it, to move forward in spite of it, you become unstoppable. You take the power away from fear and reclaim it for yourself. Fear is a part of every great achievement. It's a signal that you're on the edge of something extraordinary. It means that you're about to break through the barrier, that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits. Instead of fearing fear, welcome it, embrace it, use it to push you forward into new experiences, new opportunities, and new growth. When you start to see fear for what it really is, a catalyst for change, you'll realize that the only way to fail is to let it stop you. Success is not defined by how many times you avoid failure. It's defined by how many times you get back up after you've fallen. Life is not a straight path to victory. It's filled with bumps, setbacks, and obstacles that will knock you down along the way. But what separates those who achieve greatness from those who give up is resilience. The ability to rise every time you fall, to keep going when everything within you tells you to stop. It's about having the mental strength to face adversity head on and continuing to push forward, no matter how tough the journey gets. Every time you encounter a setback, you have a choice. You can let it defeat you, or you can learn from it, grow stronger, and keep moving forward. Resilience is about finding the courage to continue even when you've been knocked down. It's about refusing to let failure dictate your future. Too many people make the mistake of seeing failure as the end. They get discouraged, they quit, and they let the setback define them. But failure isn't an end, it's simply a lesson, a necessary part of the process. It's a reminder that success is not handed to you, it's earned through persistence, determination, and the willingness to keep going when the odds are against you. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get to where they are because they were lucky or because they had it easy. They got there because they faced rejection. They encountered failure after failure, and they stumbled many times along the way. But each time they fell, they got up, dusted themselves off, and pushed forward. They understood that setbacks are just part of the journey. They didn't see failure as a reason to quit. They saw it as a stepping stone, a way to get closer to their ultimate goal. Resilience is built through these moments. It's easy to keep going when everything is going well, but it's when things get tough that your true character is revealed. When you're knocked down, when you face adversity, that's when you find out what you're really made of. It's easy to give up when you hit a wall, but it takes real strength to keep pushing forward, to take that failure and use it as fuel for your next move. That's what builds resilience. It's the ability to bounce back stronger after every setback, to learn from every failure, and to continue to move forward with determination and purpose. But resilience doesn't just come from enduring hardship. It comes from embracing it, from understanding that the struggles you face are shaping you into a stronger, more capable person. When you hit a roadblock, it's easy to see it as something standing in your way. something you need to avoid. But if you change your perspective and see it as an opportunity to grow, you'll approach it differently. You'll see challenges as chances to learn, to improve, and to strengthen your resolve. Every setback is an opportunity to become more resilient, more determined, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. Building resilience is not about never falling. It's about learning how to rise each time you do. It's about developing the mindset that failure is not permanent, that setbacks are just temporary, and that with persistence, you can overcome any obstacle. The more you practice resilience, the easier it becomes to bounce back after each fall. You start to see failure not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. Each time you fall and get back up, you get a little bit stronger, a little bit more capable of handling whatever challenges lie ahead. The real test of resilience comes when things get hard, when the world seems to be against you, and when you feel like giving up. In those moments, you have to remind yourself that every setback is just another opportunity to prove to yourself that you can rise above it. The pain of failure is temporary, but the strength you gain from overcoming it lasts a lifetime. Resilience is about staying focused on the long-term goal, even when the short-term obstacles feel overwhelming. It's about maintaining belief in yourself even when others might doubt you, and refusing to let a single failure define your future. Sometimes the hardest part of resilience is simply not giving up. It's easy to get discouraged, to feel like the road is too long, the journey too difficult. But every step you take forward, even if it's just a small one, brings you closer to your goal. Every failure, every fall is a chance to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. And with each step forward, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. Resilience isn't about never failing. It's about getting back up every single time you do, knowing that each failure brings you closer to the person you're meant to become. At the end of the day, resilience is about persistence. It's about staying in the game long enough to see your dreams become a reality. It's about refusing to let obstacles, setbacks, or failures dictate your path. You are in control of your journey, and your ability to get back up every time you fall is what will ultimately lead you to success. Keep moving forward, stay resilient, and never, ever give up. At the end of the day, the road to success is paved with challenges, doubts, and moments of fear. But it's also paved with the incredible strength you gain when you choose to push beyond your limits, step outside your comfort zone, and use fear as fuel for your growth. It's about resilience, the ability to rise after every setback, to continue moving forward even when the path feels uncertain. Every failure, every obstacle is an opportunity to learn, to get stronger, and to build the mental and emotional endurance that will carry you through to the next level. The most important thing to remember is that your potential is limitless. The only real limits are the ones you place on yourself. And the key to breaking through them is persistence. It's about challenging yourself to go further, to grow stronger, and to never let fear or failure dictate your future. When you choose to push through discomfort, when you decide to face fear head on and keep moving forward, that's when you unlock the true power within you. Success is not a destination. It's a journey of constant growth, learning, and pushing through limits. So embrace the challenges, learn from the failures, and always, always keep going. The best version of yourself is waiting just beyond the limits you're willing to break. Keep moving forward because you're capable of more than you can even imagine.